Have you ever felt that? Like someone from your past is just fishing for you, casting a line out into the digital waters just to see if you'll bite? Well, when you're talking about a narcissistic person, that's not just a feeling, it's a full-blown strategy. Today, we're going to break down their entire playbook, a tactic we're calling the narcissistic fishing expedition. Even long after you've gone your separate ways, there can be this lingering connection, can't there? A text message pops up out of the blue, a random like on an old photo, and bam, suddenly you feel that old familiar pull. It's so confusing, it's really powerful, and it can leave you wondering if you're the only one who still feels it. I'm here to tell you, you are not.
So what is really going on here? Let's be clear. A fishing expedition isn't a genuine try at reconnecting or saying they're sorry. Nope, it is a calculated test. It's their way of checking if the line of narcissistic supply, which is basically their source of attention and validation, is still active. Are you still on the hook? See, it has very little to do with missing you and everything to do with servicing their own ego.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute core of their motivation. Narcissistic people often operate from this place of really deep insecurity, which they cover up with this massive, almost delusional sense of grandiosity. They have to believe they are the catch. So this whole thing isn't about reconciliation. It's a field test of their own desirability. It's all about reassuring themselves that you are still an option, because that feeds their constant, desperate need for validation. Okay, so if they're the fishermen, what are they using for bait? Let's dive into the common tactics they use to lure you back in, because trust me, once you can spot the bait, you're so much less likely to get hooked.
The bait usually comes in a few classic forms. First up, you've got the nostalgic message, that little remember when text designed to make you think only of the good times, conveniently forgetting all the bad. Then there's the victim bomb. This is where they'll drop a hint about some crisis they're in to get your empathy going. And then, maybe the most powerful one, triangulation. They'll casually mention how their current partner is just so messy or needy, painting this perfect picture where you could be the superior choice.
And this quote just nails why triangulation is so brutally effective. It taps into something so primal in us. This question, will I be chosen, can be incredibly powerful, especially if you ever grew up feeling unseen or like you weren't enough. It creates this secret competition you don't even realize you've entered, and it pulls you in with this subconscious desire to finally win. So the message lands in your inbox. What happens inside you when you see it? It's almost never a simple feeling, right? It's usually this confusing, disorienting internal battle.
On one side, you have the hope that's driven by the trauma bond. That's the part of you that remembers the good days and just wants to believe people can change. But on the other side, you've got your gut instinct, your intuition, just waving this giant red flag, screaming that this pattern feels way too familiar. This internal tug-of-war is completely exhausting, and it's exactly where they want you, uncertain, off balance, and engaged.
And this right here is the critical moment. The second you reply, even if it's just a simple, polite text, something shifts. The back and forth begins, and the whole expedition just picks up speed. What started as one little text can very quickly become a suggestion for a phone call or maybe meeting up for coffee, pulling you deeper and deeper into the current. So what happens if you do take the bait? What happens if you get reeled in? Well, it's not a new beginning. It's really just a return ticket to a very predictable and very painful cycle. Think of the relationship in terms of seasons. Getting hooked again doesn't send you back to season 1, the season of delight. It can't. Once you've reached season 3 or 4, where you see the patterns and you literally can't unsee them, the cycle just picks up right where it left off, in that same familiar, confusing place of devaluation. The landscape doesn't change.
Author Rebecca Humfrisch has this incredibly powerful analogy for the cycle. It's like being taken to the top of a 100-story building. The view is amazing, you feel on top of the world, but just as you relax, they push you off. And in that terrifying freefall, they suddenly swoop in and catch you just before you hit the ground. Your seducer, your perpetrator, and your rescuer are all the same person, which creates this incredibly confusing and dangerous attachment. So the most important point to remember is this. Their behavior is a performance. The nice moments, the nostalgia, the apologies, it's all bait. You are not being invited back into a changed reality. You are being pulled back into the exact same illusion that trapped you in the first place. The underlying dynamic hasn't changed at all.
So how do you stop this cycle for good? How do you finally take your power back? Well, this final section is all about how to cut that line and reclaim your peace once and for all. It all starts with radical acceptance, that deep internal acknowledgement that this is just who they are. From there, you can practice disengagement. And look, this isn't about manipulating them, this is a survival tactic for you. You have to set realistic expectations. Know that their needs will always come first. And if you do find yourself in a conversation, learn how to throw the fish back. Acknowledge their attempt, but don't take the hook. You just recognize the game and refuse to play. Okay, but be prepared for one final, desperate cast of the line. It's a tactic called too much, too late. This is when they offer you the very thing you once begged for. The big apology, the commitment, the promise to change, but they only do it after they sense you've truly started to move on. It is their most potent bait because it is custom designed to hit your old wounds and your oldest hopes. Ultimately, healing means getting to a place where no offer, no apology, no amount of bait is enough to win you back. The only truly safe path forward is to become unbuyable. It's recognizing that your peace of mind has no price tag, and there's no psychological prize they could ever offer that would be worth re-entering that cycle. And that brings us to a final, really powerful thought. This whole fishing metaphor, it's all based on their need to feel like the catch. But what happens when you completely reframe that narrative? What if, after all of this, the greatest prize, the most valuable catch you could ever secure, is yourself? Reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace. Now that is a catch worth fighting for.